MSNBC, they can't help themselves. They just keep lying over at this one network. Remember how Joe Scarborough used to tell us that this was the brightest Joe Biden I've ever seen? This is like a couple weeks before he went down, and really, really, really went down in that now infamous debate, which I think was a setup. I think they wanted to take him out, and they knew he wouldn't be able to make it through a couple of minutes. Well, now MSNBC is trying desperately to find a way to convince you, all of you out there, anyone they can, that somehow Donald Trump is so unlikable he can't win. Well, here's what I'm going to say. This isn't miscongeniality. This is the presidency of the United States of America, and we got an economy that's in a fragile state. We've got an international situation that's increasingly in a fragile state. We got a border that's an absolute mess. And somehow Joe thinks it comes down to who's going to be the prom queen.
You look at the characteristics, all the things that Donald Trump was ahead of before Harris got in the race, he's now behind. And I think the most striking thing, Mika, that when you're looking and people are trying to sort through this race and what direction it's going, you just look at the favorable, unfavorables. Donald Trump way up, upside down by, close to 20 points in the 30s for likable. And then you have Kamala Harris actually upside. I think it's like 46, 43. That is a huge gap. And the Trump campaign has said, and if you see some of just the absolute crazed behavior, and it's really almost too much to get your arms around. And I understand that's the idea of it, that the claims are so outrageous. They're so disconnected from the truth. Trump moving all over the place on issues from abortion to immigration, now saying we need more immigrants in the United States. All of this stuff, the crazy stuff at Arlington, they're absolutely desperate. And the campaign has said internally, they know they can never they can't make people like Donald Trump.
Right.
So their goal is to make people hate Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And that's where we are. And if they can't get Americans to hate Kamala Harris, then they understand she will win.
Wow. So let's unpack that for a little bit. Sure, I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, Corey Lewandowski, who's running the Trump campaign now, has said in the past, to me, actually, you know what? One of the reasons why Trump was successful in 2016 was because people really couldn't stand Hillary, which is why this should be like a layup, right? Because if you didn't like Hillary, you're definitely not liking Kamala Harris. So, yeah, I could see that playing to Donald Trump's strength, but that's not necessarily. He still wants to somehow say that she's more likable. I don't think so. First of all, I don't think likability actually is going to be what triumphs here. I think that this is a very different kind of election season. And it goes back to, it's the economy, stupid, really and truly. I mean, you look at the numbers today, we got manufacturing data that suggests, you know what, the economy is not all that. And so if you couple a very weak economy, you've got more Fed cutting that's coming along and thus predictably more inflation, then you're going to have a scenario where, once again, it's the middle class that's getting squeezed. I talk about it as an hourglass. You got a lot on top. Those are the donors, like the donor class that are pulling the strings for Kamala Harris. And then she's trying to give out little breadcrumbs to all the people on the bottom. You let them eat cake, Marie Antoinette style. Keep them happy there on the bottom. Maybe forgive some of those student loans because, maybe the gender studies thing isn't really working out and paying the bills. The PhD in gender studies, imagine that. And the people that are your backbone, that are your core here in the United States of America, that really fundamentally make up what this country is, the fabric of this nation, that's our middle class. And our middle class needs to succeed if America is going to succeed. Hey, go back to consumer spending, right? It makes up 2/3 of GDP. You need a very strong middle class to have that robust consumer spending, to have that robust economy. You need a patriotic, happy middle class that believes in the future, that believes in opportunity, because tomorrow is going to be another day. In the words of Scarlett O'Hara, the sun will come out tomorrow, in the words of Annie. And FDR, who was always looking forward to tomorrow, because instilling that sense of optimism is so uniquely American. The American dream is something that's called the American dream for a reason, right? They don't have it in France. You don't think about the British dream. You don't think about the Spanish dream. You don't think about Mexico's dream. You think about the American dream. If they kill that, what do we got? They will kill it, by the way, with their tax policies, with their border policies, and with their let them eat cake policies that really hurt fundamentally the class that makes up who this nation is. So, Scarborough can pretend all he wants. I think Trump is frankly going to be more likable than Kamala Harris. So I think he's won that battle. And I think Corey and the rest of them there on the campaign can actually breathe easy about that, because this woman's frankly not likable.